Hi there, my little eggs. This is Crafting and Cryptids episode 3. Episode 3. I was off for a bit because I was just really poorly. So I'm back today with another episode. Beastman. 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 The worst superheroes. Are probably the best supervillains. I'm Stacey, aka Dolls and Pop. Might just introduce myself as Dolls and Pop from now on though, right? So just so you know, because it's just better than all those AKAs, isn't it? Really. Today I am going to be doing some more of my dollhouse that I've been making, which you might have seen last episode, but it's not going to be a project that's going to be continued in future videos. Why? Because it's really fucking hard. It's really hard to do. Like, it took me hours to do what you're going to see in this video. Literally like 3 or 4 hours. Like, really hard. But also, I've come up with some other video ideas, which is good. So look out very soon, because it's going to be more than just crafting and cryptids, because why not? Why not? Today's episode is about Beastman. Lots of cryptids have humanoid appearances, but this episode is only going to be dealing with cryptids with the word man in the names, because that's just the theme of today. And I kind of thought it sounded like a really crappy superhero team, like coming soon to MCU. But then I realised that it'd probably be a fairly good supervillain team actually, so let's dive in. The Ratman of Southend. This urban legend comes from Southend, Essex. The legend goes that there was a homeless man seeking shelter from the winter and the cold and the rain and the sleet and everything else in an overpass tunnel. Okay, nice and dark, out of the way. But sorry, I keep doing this with my arm. I've got a little itty bitty chicken wing. Itty bitty chicken wing. As he lay sleeping, thinking, we're here, my luck's in, a group of youths, a group of youths that were passing by saw the homeless man asleep, minding his own business, just trying to survive, and behave. And they beat the crap out of him because they were shit. They beat the crap out of him. He wasn't dead, but he was definitely dying. Internal bleeding, fractured skull, all the grimness. And obviously, I guess they may have dragged him out from underneath the overpass. As the poor man lay in the snow dying, all of the vermin from the area, all the rats and mice and everything else, they descended on him and ate him while he was dying. So he was still alive. Not very nice, is it? Ate all his flesh off. No flesh on his face. They ate his damn face. Not long after the discovery of his body, they started hearing weird, like, creepy noises coming from the tunnel. They could hear squeaking and scratching and some people even reported seeing the Ratman, who was now somehow, his ghost is half man, half rat, no face, all scary. And people still say, watch out for the Ratman this day. But, you know, it's not a specific underpass, it's just, you know, creeps about in the streets in your dreams. No dreams, only tears. The Loveland Frogman. This cryptid is a large humanoid creature that stands about 4 feet high. Sightings of him have been reported in Ohio for generations. Hello, baby. In fact, it's become something of a monster celebrity in the area. Like, you know, Scotland has Nessie, Loveland has the Frogman. People have reported him crossing the roads, they've seen him, or down by the rivers. But the most prominent sighting comes from a police officer. So, you know, it held a bit of weight because, you know, this is a police officer reporting it. And he said that he had indeed seen a creature that matched the descriptions that were being phoned in describing the Loveland Frogman. One guy said that he'd actually shot and killed what he thought was the reason, the explanation for the Frogman. He thought he saw the Frogman one night, so he shot it, killed it, and it turned out to be a tailless iguana, right? But how would that explain him walking around on his back legs all the time? Doesn't really, does it? I know iguanas can stand up and do that weird run, but it's not going to walk around like that all the time, is it? Tail or no tail. So what was causing the sightings? Because that, you know, an iguana. It's not going to be an iguana, is it? Have you seen an iguana? It's not an iguana. It's not an iguana. People still say that they see the Loveland Frogman to this day. He appears on t-shirts and postcards, in books and the internet. You can go and see if you can see him. The Monkey Man of Delhi. This is an urban legend from New Delhi, India, and it started in 2001. People started reporting a small humanoid man covered from head to toe in fur. It was said that he was breaking into people's houses, attacking them in the street, attacking them in the cars, jumping into the cars, damaging the cars, generally just being a bit of a dickhead. Eyewitness accounts were also, they differed quite a lot. Some people described him as about 4 foot high, covered from head to toe, just looking like a guy, but very hairy. Other people said that he was like 8 foot tall, red eyes, big long snout. Some people even said that he had a metal helmet, metal claws, and 3 buttons on his chest, because I don't know whether that's supposed to be like fabric clothing buttons or like robot buttons, but buttons on his chest, who knows? I don't. I never saw him. Did you? He got his name from not only being very hairy, but he was said to be able to jump like from rooftop to rooftop. He could jump from building to building, which obviously got people really worried, because was he going to come through your window? They didn't know. Were genuinely scared by it. Caused mass hysteria. Yeah, but apparently people actually died during the hysteria. They jumped off buildings, tried to escape. They fell down stairwells, tried to escape. Like, people were very freaked out by this. So freaked out that the police had an artist draw up a sketch to make like a wanted poster, wanted Monkey Man, dead or alive, preferably dead. It was never caught. They never found anything. It just kind of died down. But people still do say about the small hairy man sightings today. Maybe it just was literally a small hairy man causing some trouble. Either way, he could be coming through your window tonight. I hope not. The Cornish Owl Man. In 1976, a family were on vacation in Mothman, Cornwall, when their 2 young daughters witnessed a terrifying sight. Near the local church, when they saw a massive owl-like creature flying through the sky from the tower of the church. And they were so scared that they ran. 2 daughters were called June and Vicky Mellin. They were so traumatised by what had happened, and they drew the picture, and the dad was so freaked out that he was like, no, holiday over, ruined. And he took them home. It was investigated, They keep reporting sightings of the Owl Man in or around the church area and lots of weird hooting noises. Later reports have described him as a large owl-like man with huge talons and big ears. I don't know, owls don't have ears, so I don't know why the Owl Man has big ears. And glowing black eyes, and I don't really know how you can get glowing black eyes either. But that eyewitness account was from somebody who had already heard of the Owl Man story and might have just been adding to the lore. In later years, it has been theorised that the Owl Man was most likely just an owl. People have said that it was probably a barn owl, but barn owls are very small. Other people have theorised that it might be an eagle owl of some breed. They can get 8 feet wide and they can stand around 2 to 3 feet high. Now, I have seen a European eagle owl, right, and let me tell you, I shat my pants. I was a passenger in the car and we were driving through the Cumbrian country lanes, and as we came round the corner, there was just this huge thing hovering above the road. It was just spread across the whole road. Its wings were on each side of it. It was massive, right? And my first thought was, holy shit, it's a vampire. I went, oh! And it was like this massive owl, and it just flew up into the air. And then, like, not long after that, there started being, like, reports of these eagle owls that had escaped from a local zoo. They'd been snatching up people's dogs and cats, and, like, everybody was understandably really mad about it. Mantis Man. I suppose that it should be that for praying mantis, but it's not. It's like... The Mantis Man is a cryptid from Hackettstown, New Jersey. Mantis Man is roughly 7 feet tall, and he is described as having the features and abilities of a praying mantis, and that's obviously how he got his name. He's described as about 7 feet tall. Sometimes he's like a greenish colour, sometimes he's like a tannish colour, but they say that he's very not fully transparent, but, you know, a bit see-through. His head is smaller than his body. He's got some big old arms and legs. He's just a rather large praying mantis. He's often seen around the rivers, and he's been sighted around there by local fishermen because obviously they spend a lot of time down by the water's edge, just sitting, chilling, not doing much, being very still, so it makes sense that they would see him. The one thing that's not like a praying mantis is where he lives, which is down by the water, because praying mantises don't really live in or around water. They prefer to spend their time on the forest floor and stuff. They say that he's tall enough that he can walk on the bottom of the riverbed while still having like a sizable amount of his torso above the water, and he doesn't get swept away by the current. There's been many explanations given for the Mantis Man over the years. Some say that he is an escaped scientist lab experiment. Other people say that he's an alien. Some people say that he's just a supernatural dude from another dimension. Why not? But they all agree that he doesn't really mean anybody any harm, because when people try to get close to him, he just does one. He's run away. He goes. Other people have theorised that it could be an as yet unknown, undiscovered aquatic creature that resembles a praying mantis. More tales of child murder now. Oh, we do love a bit of murder, don't we? The Bunnyman is an urban legend from Fairfax County, Virginia. It's one of those stories that it has a grain of truth to it, but over the years it's evolved and just more's been added to it, and it's a different retelling every time. The bones of the story is that there's a serial killer and he dresses up in a rabbit suit, goes and terrorises people and kills them, maybe kills them, with his weapons. That's how it started. From there it evolved into something rather more specific. The Bunnyman became an escaped inmate from an asylum who was a child predator, and he dressed in a white rabbit suit and had an axe, and he would go and kill children, mutilate the bodies and hang them from a bridge. That bridge is the Colchester Overpass, which is now infamously known as the Bunnyman Bridge, because the Bunnyman became huge. People just really loved the story. It's one of those stories that kids, it's ghost stories that kids tell each other. You know, we all tell ghost stories when we're young, and that's the popular one for that area. It's been made into films, comics, books. It's inspired a lot of things. However, the current retelling of it isn't true, because there's never been an insane asylum in Fairfax County, Virginia. There just hasn't, so he didn't escape from there. But the grain of truth, what I said earlier, is there actually is 3 incidents that were reported to the police, so they are on record, and they report of a man wearing a bunny suit and carrying a weapon. Nobody knows what he was doing, wasn't killing anyone, but there were reports in the 1970s, and people have gone really nuts for it because they've delved really deep into the history, way more than what I'm going to do here in this little segment. Some of the stories see the ghost of the Bunnyman coming back once a year, every year, on the anniversary of his death, to just carry on his little kiddie killing mission. The Lizardman of Scape or Swamp. The Lizardman is an entity that haunts the swamps outside Bishopville, South Carolina. He's been doing so since 1988, and it doesn't look like he's going to be stopping anytime soon, guys. It's kind of a big deal now. He's a local celebrity. On July 14th, 1988, there was a police report made. A report from a man who parked his car on the edge of Scape or Swamp. And when he came back, he found that it had just been messed up quite madly. It had blood on it. It had footprints on it. It had scratches on it from claws and bite marks and dents and blood and just loads of... something attacked his car, basically. And he was like, this isn't a normal animal. Look at this damage. And the police investigated, and they were like, oh yeah, that's pretty bad. Not long after that, stories just started happening the way stories do. They kind of like get in the cracks and they grow and they bloom. Ooh, love a good story. It grew into the Lizardman story. Nobody really knows how the story originated, but people started seeing a creature that they described as a lizard-looking man. He was like tall, red eyes, big claws, scaly skin, like reptilian looking. The first report of a sighting, an actual sighting, was from this young 17-year-old boy, and he said that his tyre went, and as he got out to change it, he saw the lizard man crossing the road, and it was wet looking, and it was like scaly and red eyes, and he reported it to the local police. From there, the story was picked up by like local newspapers, local radio stations. Because the story spread through the country, people started coming. The Lizard Man became a bit of a tourist attraction. People would try to see him, see if they could find a sighting of him. But, of course, they didn't. But then a local radio station decided to offer a $1 million reward for anybody who could capture the Lizard Man alive. Nobody ever did, but sightings still happen to this day. So he must be really, really fast, because they see him, but they can't catch him for $1 million. Not even for $1 million. The Goatman. The Goatman is an urban legend from Maryland, Kentucky, and it's just another little local tale, and it's about a half-goat, half-man hybrid who was attributed to killing lots of dogs in the area and other damages, and a couple of people said that they saw him There are two different eyewitness accounts of the Goatman. The first one says that he's like an upright goat with a human face. And other accounts say that he's more like the ancient Greek figure Pan. So like bald man, hairy goat. Either way, people have said that they have seen him, he's killed dogs, and that he's even run up to people in the cars with a little hatchet or an axe or something and give him the old oogie boogie boo, try to scare him. He's rumoured to reside in a shelter, like a nice little handmade shelter in the wooded area of the state. So, you know those guys on YouTube who just build huts in the middle of the jungle? Probably got a house like that somewhere. So people obviously go looking for it because people be people. We'd be curious. But they say that every now and then he comes out, kills a dog, harasses some people, and goes back into his little den. You can see all over the town, even today, graffiti that says the Goatman was here, and, you know, other such graffiti kind of instances. Goatman was here, now he's not. He's round the corner smoking. In the 70s, the town had like a string of dog deaths that wasn't very nice. Not you, baby, not you. They were all attributed to the Goatman. Some people say that he's a scientific experiment. That's always an option, isn't it? It's always a escaped scientific experiment. Other people say that he's just a hermit. He's just some normal guy who's like pretty scary looking, pretty hairy looking, and he just wants to be left alone. And if you don't leave him alone, he'll come after you and your little dog too. The Mothman. The Mothman legacy originated in West Virginia in 1966. Which is quite a while ago, isn't it? The first sighting comes from a couple in the Point Pleasant area. They were in the car, they were driving along, and they saw the Mothman at the side of the road, I guess. And they reported a huge winged man with red eyes and claws and stuff. The story of the huge man-bird creature thing was picked up by local newspapers, and suddenly it was just being spread everywhere, all over the country. People were loving it. In fact, people loved it so much that it's still like super popular today. There's so many, there's books, films, games, cuddly toys, t-shirts, there's just Mothman everything. He even has his own festival, which happens once a year, which is pretty cool. I think like only top tier cryptids get their own festivals. The Mothman sightings seem to foreshadow unfortunate events, so he's seen as kind of like a harbinger of the apocalypse. When people see the Mothman, something really bad happens in the world. There's always some like natural disaster or world-changing event that happens just after sightings of him. So many people think that Mothman's actually a good guy and he's trying to warn us. Some people think that he's bad and he's causing the events, but others think that he's like an entity, a travelling entity that's trying to, you know, warn us and foreshadow these things. And that's where the book The Mothman Prophecies, it kind of grew from there. And that's where his supernatural abilities kind of like started sprouting from, that particular book. There's been literally thousands of Mothman sightings since that original one in 1966. There's just so many, you couldn't go through them all. Loads of people reckon that they've seen the Mothman, and maybe they have. Maybe he gets around. Maybe he's like a really friendly dude. It's often said that he's an alien or a time traveller or an interdimensional traveller, or perhaps even an undiscovered creature. Something from outer space, maybe. We don't know. We just know that he's like one of the best loved cryptids of all time because he's Mothman. So that was the manbeast episode. Manbeast. This has been Crafting and Cryptids episode 3. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you soon. If you did like this video, please give it a little thumbs up, and you can follow me here. It's good, isn't it? And I hope to see you again soon.